Hey guys, Handy Camper here. If it's your first time over to the channel, I appreciate you coming over. I appreciate you watching and tuning in. I've got some rice and I've got some jars. Today we're going to be doing some dry canning. If you don't know what dry canning is, stick around. So there's a couple different methods for dry canning. Today I'm going to be talking about using the oven, and the other method would be using my my food saver. Well, it's not a food saver; it's just a vacuum sealer. It's a Ziploc brand. Be using that as well. With canning rice, you can also do beans, rice, and grains and stuff like that. All kinds of dry goods for long-term storage and short-term storage. Both of these methods are great for both. Today we're going to be doing the oven, and what we've got here, I've got some quart jars. And if you do the oven technique, the oven method, you want to use new lids and new rims for this canning method. If you're using the vacuum sealer, you don't have to have new lids and rims. And some people even use oxygen absorbers while doing the vacuum sealer method. But today I've got some new lids for some old jars that I have, new lids and rims, and I've washed and sterilized everything, warm water, soapy water, and let it dry. And also, by putting it in the oven, that's kind of like a double sterilization, if you will. And by putting it into the oven, you're going to kill any bugs or any eggs that might be in there. Alright guys, I got my jars ready. Got my rice here. I got a few 3-pound bags. We'll see how much fits. These are quart jars, so I'm just going to cut the corner off. I don't have one of those fancy funnels, so I'm just going to cut that corner off. And we're just going to put it in there. And we're not doing a water bath canning or pressure canning or anything, so you don't have to worry about how full you can get. You put it under the lip if you want to, or at the very top, close to the very top if you want to. But I'm just going to get it right here underneath there. And you can see how full that gets. That's a quart jar. Got that one full. Go here with the rest. I'm not going to bore you with filling all these up, guys, so stick around. Just wanted to show you real quick, a 3-pound bag pretty much fills 2 quart jars up, so that's pretty good. So I had 3 3-pound bags of rice, 9 pounds of rice, and that filled up almost 6 quart jars. I've got some in the cabinet that we're currently using, so I'm going to finish filling this up with what we got there. There we go. And there we go, guys. We got 6 quart jars, about a little over 9 pounds of rice. And we're going to do the oven technique on these. And I'll be right back and show you that. And also, right after you fill the jars up with the rice, guys, go ahead and get you a dry paper towel and just make sure you clear all the dust from the rim. I like to do that before I put it in the oven and afterwards as well. I'll go back over these again real fast and Make sure I got all the dust off of there, because you want to make it have a good seal with those new lids. And I've got a cookie sheet here, guys. I'm going to come over here and set the oven. Some people say 175, 225, so I'm just going to go in between there. And I'm going to set it for 215. We'll just get there in the middle somewhere. Alright. And then I'm going to put my jars in there, guys. Cookie sheet. And we'll set my jars in there, guys, and we'll be right back. Stick around. Alright guys, we got the jars in the oven. I've got it set to 215. And once the oven hits temperature, it's preheating now. So once the oven hits temperature, that's when you want to start your timer. You want to make sure you put it in a cold oven. You don't want to put the room temperature glass into a hot oven, or glass and heat and stuff like that don't mix, so just be careful with that. Make sure your jars are dry and all that stuff as well before putting them in there, putting your rice in there. What I usually do, I'm using quart jars, so I'm going to put them, as soon as the oven reaches temperature, I'm going to put it on anywhere between an hour and a half. If you use half gallons, they say about almost 2 hours. And right before that timer goes off for whatever setting you have, about 10-15 minutes, go ahead and put your lids in the oven as well. You can put those to the side if they fit in there or whatever, and let those sterilize and heat up as well. And then when the timer goes off, you want to put those hot lids on the hot jars themselves and just let it sit. And as they cool, then they'll seal. You'll hear the lid set. You'll hear it ting, ping. You'll hear that making that noise, and you'll know they're sealed in. If it doesn't seal with this method, if after cooling down and they don't seal, if one of them doesn't seal, you can use your if you have a food saver attachment, you can do that, and just to seal that takes all the oxygen out as well. And being that you heat it up in the oven, any eggs or bugs or anything will be dead, so you won't have to worry about that. Once you seal it, it's good to go. And they say doing this method right here, stuff your rice or beans or whatever you do is good for 10 to 15 years, and some people even say 30. So I don't think it'll stick around that long, but if it does, my daughter will have some rice when she's older, I guess. I don't know, but I'm just doing a few here and there just to have some, and that way we'll know it doesn't get any insects or any kind of eggs or larvae or anything like that in there. But that is the oven technique. And once those come out of the oven, guys, we'll get those lids on there and get them set. While the timer is going on our jars in the oven, guys, I want to talk about the freezer method and using your food saver, your vacuum sealer. If you don't want to use the oven technique, another very easy way is to grab your rice or your beans and put them into the freezer for 2 to 4 days. And by putting them into the freezer, that kills any eggs or larvae or any kind of bugs you might have in there. If you don't have any bugs, I mean, it's a precautionary type thing. It doesn't matter. There might not be any bugs in there, but by putting them into the freezer or the oven, you're going to kill whatever kind of eggs or bugs might be in there or could be in there. And then once you take these out of the freezer, you'll put them in your clean jars. If you do the freezer technique and the vacuum sealer, you can use your old lids and rings if you want to. But when you're doing the oven, you definitely want to use new rings and new lids as well for that. But it's okay to use older ones for your vacuum sealer freezer method if you want to do that, as long as they don't have any kind of crazy dents or anything messed up with the seal part of the underneath. But that's two very easy ways to dry can, guys. And especially with things going on now, it's a good thing to learn yourself and to teach your children how to do stuff like this, because you just never know. A lot of people with this coronavirus and everything going on there, a lot of people were scared and stuff like that. But it's good to have knowledge of canning, dry canning, water bath canning, pressure canning, freezer canning. You could even can stuff, can vegetables, can anything, and put it in the freezer. You know, take with your vacuum sealer, take out the oxygen, and throw it in the freezer in a jar. So there's all kinds of different methods you can use for canning and preserving food for long-term storage and short-term storage. So stick around, guys. Alright guys, I want to take just one quick second to show you the vacuum sealer method. What we've got here is I've got a Ziploc vacuum sealer and a food saver attachment, which you can also use. It works well with this. I've got the the Ziploc hose that come with my Ziploc, but you can also use the Food Saver brand too. They got a couple different ones, but this one works best for this one because it fits better in there. It's a little tighter. But what I've got here, I've got a small jar of some apple pieces that I made, some dehydrated apple with cayenne pepper and cinnamon on there, which is really, really good. Super yummy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to seal these with the vacuum sealer and the Food Saver attachment. I've just got the regular mouth lid here and the regular mouth attachment, and I'll show you what we're going to do. And I got my iced tea. It's super easy. And you know, oxygen is definitely the enemy of food. So what I'm gonna do is just make sure there ain't no dust on there. Then on the lid, get that on there. I'm gonna put the attachment right on top. Just push it down on there. Stick it in the attachment and put it over here. Give it a little twist. Make sure it's on there really good. Give this one just a little twist just to make sure it's seated in there really good. And we're going to vacuum seal. You can see the green light there. You hear the different noises. That's the sealing. It just turned red. And I think I heard it. I think I heard it pop there, guys. Let's see. Take off the attachment there, and you can see it sealed it. And just this is dehydrated, and just by taking the air out of that jar, that'll last a long, long time. Well, not in this little jar. That'll get eaten pretty quick. Take out the, just take out the, there you go, just take out the air. Shelve it. Good to go. And if you was to throw an oxygen absorber in there, it'd probably last even longer, but there's no telling how good that'd be good for. Sometimes when you're taking the lid off, you need to pop that off first, just to release the pressure. As easy as that, guys. Works really good. Alright, guys, the timer just went off, and I'm going to go ahead and put the lids in here for about 15 minutes or so. Get those sterilized. Just going to pop them right in there. It doesn't matter. Now they go in there, just throw them in there, guys. Throw them in there just like that. And we're going to set that for 15 minutes, and we'll be right back. And once the timer goes off, guys, I'm going to use this method right here. Everything's going to be super hot. So I'm going to grab the jar, and I'm going to have one right here at my stomach. And I'm going to hold on to the jar and twist the lid on there very tight. And we'll set it here to cool down and seal. Alright guys, the timer just went off on the lid, so everything's done. So let's get these out and get the lids and the rims on there. I've got my wide mouse in there first. So maybe I can pull this out here without burning myself. Remember, these are going to be very hot, so be very careful. Got my first one out there. Yeah, very hot, hot, hot. Put that on there. Like so. And actually the bands and lids, you know, is not too hot, so I'm going to get one right here. Up against my stomach like so. Hold on to it so I can get a good seal on there. Probably do it without that one, but yeah, it's hot. Get a good seal on there, guys. We'll set it over here to the side without burning myself. Let me double check that, make sure I got it good and tight. There we go. And hopefully while I'm doing this, we might be able to hear a couple of them ping. But it'll probably take about 30 minutes or so before they start making noise. But I'm going to go ahead and get these out of the oven, guys. And get them sealed off. Totally forgot to wipe the seal off on that one, guys. The rim. Don't forget to get your paper towel and wipe the rim off. Make sure the lid doesn't have anything on it. Good to go. Let's do that again. Get that thing good and tight. There we go. Hot tamales. Got my towel down there. Don't forget to wipe the rim. Don't want to burn your stomach, so definitely get you one to put in between you and the jar. I think a couple of these jars are pretty old too. I got these, when my grandmother passed away, I got a couple of her jars that she had, so hopefully they'll seal okay. They looked really good around the rims. There was no chips or anything like that, so I think they'll seal. But alright guys, I'll be back when all these are all sealed up, so stick around. And like I said before, guys, this is a great way to store some your rice or beans or anything like that, any dry goods kind of like that for a long-term storage or short-term storage. And it's a good opportunity these days with everything going on to learn these kind of processes and to teach your children about that. Isn't that right, Mini Camper? Yeah, it's a great learning experience to learn yourself and to teach other people. Isn't that right, Mini Camper?
No, Dad.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Alright guys, we got all that canned up, so we're just waiting for them to seal. And like I said, if one or two of them happens not to seal, you don't hear it ting, and you can push down on there and it's not sealed, you can use your food saver, your vacuum sealer, to seal back down the lid. And like I said guys, if one or two of those just does not seal, if you can press down and it's not sealed, you can use the your food saver, your vacuum sealer, to go ahead and finish it and make it seal and take all the rest of the oxygen out of there once it cools, for sure. So, alright guys, let's do a little recap. Alright, so doing the dry canning with the oven method, you want to use new lids and rings for sure. But if you're doing the just your vacuum sealer and the freezer technique, you can use the old lids. It's fine to use those. And some people even put oxygen absorbers in there. Oxygen absorbers. Say that 3 times real fast. But like I said, the first thing you want to do is wash and clean your jars and your lids and stuff with warm soapy water really good, and let those dry. You can, after you wash them and dry them, you can even put them in the oven for just a few minutes, up 10, 15, 20 minutes at a low setting to finish drying if you're in a hurry. That way you make sure no moisture is in there when you put the rice in there. And let's see. Once you get your rice in there, you want to put the jar with the rice. You don't have to put the lids on there. Put them in the oven. Put them in a cookie sheet. If your oven rack's a little funky and you think it might, your jars might fall or something, use a cookie sheet to put them on. Set your oven between 175 and 225. There's so many people that say different temperatures and stuff, but I set mine, I think it was for 215, so I was right there in the middle somewhere. So, and they say, I don't know who they are, but the research that I've done was anywhere between an hour and an hour and a half for a quart jars with beans and rice or anything like that, dry beans and rice, to put them in the oven. And then the last 10-15 minutes you can do the put your lids in there, because you want everything dry. This is dry goods, so you want everything to be dry and not wet. You definitely want everything to be totally dry when you're doing this. So I set mine for about an hour 15 minutes, I think it was, and then I put the lids in there the last 15 minutes for another 15 minutes. If you're doing quarts, you know, if you're doing half gallons, you want to do a little bit longer time, obviously, because the half gallons are bigger. Check out this bad boy, big old half gallon right here. I wanted to do my rice in quarts because, you know, we're just 3, so I don't want to seal a half gallon for either long term or short term. Because, you know, a serving is like a quarter cup of rice or something like that. So I think quart jars is a good size to do that for a smaller family. But if you're a bigger family, definitely do the half gallons, because that will meet your needs a little bit more. What do you think about this whole canning process, Mini Camper?
Well, I think it's interesting, but it's kind of boring because it's just rice.
Well,
Rice.
yeah, but just think, if you didn't have nothing to eat and cooked up some rice and you had some rice and some beans, wouldn't that be good?
Rice. But what about the beans?
Yeah. Well, we haven't made it that far yet. We got the rice. Oh, did you hear that?
What?
Did you hear it ting?
Yes.
Did you guys hear that? Got it on camera. Ting ting.
What?
That means it's sealed.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Caught it on camera. Awesome.
Oh,
Okay, so where were we? We were last 15 minutes. Put the lids in the oven, and once the timer goes off, you pull each jar out one at a time, or you can do them all the time. I guess it don't really matter. Use a dry paper towel. I keep forgetting about the dry paper towel, but I do the dry paper towel before I put the jars with the rice in the oven. After you pour the rice in there, to make sure you get all the little powder off, if there's any kind of powder on top, and when I pull them off, just double check. And double check your lids too to make sure. Can you pass me one of those rims with the orange around it?
They all really have orange around it, but okay then.
And make sure you get all the little dust and stuff off of the rim of the jar and on the seal part of your lid as well. Make sure they're dry. You don't want any water. You don't want any moisture in there. Even though rice is kind of its own, it absorbs moisture, but you still, when you're doing dry goods, you don't want any moisture in there, just to be on the safe side. All right, so we've got the rice out of the oven. You take the jar out, and you use a dry paper towel to make sure there's nothing on the lid, on the rim, and you put your lid and your band on there and tighten it down pretty hard. You want to do it almost as hard as you can. Be careful, those are hot over there. And set it to the side and just wait. And once it's sealed and cooled, you're ready to store. So that's it. Dry canning using the oven technique. Oh, got another one.
Oh, and it was more silent that time.
More silent.
Like we were talking when the other one popped.
Oh, okay. We were more silent the last time. But another cool thing, let me show you this real quick, guys. But what you can also do, if you don't want to write on the lids, and that way you'll be able to use your lids, your rims and your lids again for doing like the freezer technique and stuff like that. If you want to use those again, I'm going to get like some twine and make myself a label and with a date on there, and you can even put like the how, you know, it's not rocket science when you're making rice, but you can put the directions on you know, what percentage rice and water if you want to, and cooking times and all that kind of stuff if you want to, but it's not rocket science. Put a little water, put a little rice, you're good to go. But that's a cool idea we were talking about not writing on the lids or writing on the jars, so you can reuse them and they're staying to their original look and stuff. Especially these old jars, you don't want to write on these old jars. You want to keep these around because they make really good. They're visually it's pretty, and just put a little twine, maybe some jute twine or something on there. Will make yourself a little label, and it'll look really nice. So everybody, with all this craziness going on in the world with coronavirus and just to be prepared in general, it's a good idea to know about this stuff. Learn it, teach it, and pass it along, because this is the kind of knowledge that's getting lost today. You know, people, good stuff to know, and make sure you click that thumbs up button. Make sure you comment down below if you've done this technique before, or just comment below and let me know if you do any kind of canning or anything, because we're getting into it. We're starting to learn about it. I've never water bath canned or pressure canned, and I've talked to actually a few of you guys on here before about it, and got some great tips and tricks on canning. And I've watched a lot of videos on the dry canning and wet canning and freezer canning and stuff like that. So make sure you click that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, guys, if you like this content. And I've got all kinds of content, so check that out too. Check out all my social medias. I'll have that in the description box below. Check out everything, guys. Just check it all out. Man Camper, I've got t-shirts.
Get me one.
I'll have it all down below in the description. And check out my Teespring page. Check out my Teespring page, guys. I've got t-shirts in there. Oh my gosh, I got t-shirts. I've got t-shirts.
Really, t-shirts? I've always wanted one of those.
Coffee mugs, and there's all kinds of cool stuff. Phone cases in there. So, alright guys, with that being said, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. And as always,
I want a t-shirt.
Plan,
Prepare and
practice.
And get a t-shirt.
And get a t-shirt. Handy out. And Minnie out. We're all out.
Bye,
but don't run out of food. Is this thing on?
Yeah, boy, it is.
Oh.